Hi everybody. I am just waiting for Ciaran Fitzgerald to join me here. We're about to do an Insta Live on our series Straight Facts. So everybody is welcome. Hey Clodagh, thanks for joining. I'm Maeve. Blue Haven has sent a request. Let me accept you. This works. We practiced a few times today. A few of us will have already seen us. Thanks for joining. Hey Julie. Hey Ciaran.
Hi Madeleine, how are you?
Great, it seems to be working fine.
Thank God, yeah, technical issues are over and done.
Oh, they'll be the death of us. Thanks a million for taking part in this today. I thought what might be useful is for me to start off by explaining to people why we're here, and then we can get into our conversation. Is that all right?
Perfect, yeah, happy with that.
Great. So myself and Tara set up a series of Insta Lives called Straight Facts, the aim of which is to educate our audience on what's happening in different sectors right now all around the country. And we invite our clients on, like yourself, who are industry experts, and they can tell us what's happening at the coalface right now. So you're in the hospitality sector, you're a restaurateur, you're a publican, you're a hotelier, and at Change by Degrees, we're really proud of Kinsale and how it showcases its commitment to sustainability, because obviously we care about the economic viability of the town, but we equally care about the health and happiness of the locals that live here and the people that come and visit, right? But your sector is in a total state of flux right now, and our town heavily depends on those sectors for our future sustainability. So I thought that's why it would be great to have you on to hear how you're coping. And why don't you maybe introduce yourself and tell us about the Blue Haven collection, and how has it been for you for the last 6 to 8 weeks?
Okay, I'll start with our businesses, the Blue Haven Hotel, Old Bank House, Hamlet, and Vicky's Cafe in Cork. So I suppose we're seeing it from a kind of a cross-section of hospitality businesses and how it's impacting. Excuse me, the initial reaction, like everyone, was one of, I suppose, shock really at the speed at which the whole pandemic hit us. I suppose we would always be operating, glass half full. We'll navigate our way through it. But then it became very, very clear that this was a lot more serious than that. People's health was at stake, so the measures had to be taken, and I agree with every single one of them that had to be taken to protect everyone's well-being. But the fallout from that, obviously, is a very uncertain future for the hospitality sector, which is the biggest employer in Kinsale, as you've said, with over 1,000 jobs directly and indirectly. So it's key that we get that back, and we get it back fighting strong like it was before we went into this. For us, initially, I suppose we took an approach that we learned a lot from previous, I suppose, both mistakes and crises within our industry in the last recession, whereby we straight away, I suppose, went into crisis mode. We communicated with all our team. We communicated with everyone in the business what was happening on a daily basis. I think that was very, very important. We communicated with our stakeholders, our suppliers, and we tried our best to, I suppose, navigate our way through the initial stages, which were very stressful for everyone. There's no doubt about it. The day we closed the Blue Haven on the Friday, a lot of people said, God, that must have been a very tough day. It was actually nearly a relief that day to actually get everything into shutdown, because it was the safest place for it. And then at least we could navigate our way back from that. But I was very uncomfortable in the lead up to the shutdown, whereby people's health and well-being was at stake. Trying to manage social distancing was a huge challenge in our industry. And it's a challenge that we're going to have to overcome, and how, I'm not sure. But all those challenges were in the 2 weeks leading to the shutdown, really, really pushed us hard. We were thinking on our feet constantly reacting to, as things were changing, literally on a daily basis, things were changing in that period. So that was, I suppose that was it. But, we spoke earlier about some of the positives that can come out of this. One thing for me was to see how our team reacted to that and how our industry has reacted to that. There was no barriers in communication between people, between restaurants, between competitors, between groups. I think the strength
was that nationwide or in Kinsale, or how did you find it?
Kinsale initially and nationwide. So information was being fed through from various parts of the country to various Good Food Circle members and chamber members. that was being communicated across to us. So at least we could see how other people were reacting. You know, there's a lot of very, very good representative bodies doing a lot of good work that were communicating with us very regularly as well. So initially, it was all about communication, getting as much information as you could, making the decisions as best we possibly could. And then I suppose for me, there was a huge pride in how our team internally stood up to it. You know, I mean, to see how they reacted was inspirational, really, to see, you know, I suppose uncertain for us all, but you know, a lot of people, probably the hardest thing I had to do was sign 94 COVID-19 temporary redundancy letters on the Wednesday. You know, that was pretty hard thing to do, but not for me, but just to see you know, you're putting people's lives into an uncertain position that rely on you. So I think that how people stood up to that was incredible, you know.
Very interesting. And tell me, so now that we've got these new phased plans of re-engagement, like in the immediate term, are you planning on opening, and how are you going to manage the 2 meter social distancing?
Yeah, I suppose that's going to be a challenge in a lot of ways. We've been thinking about it a lot. We've been planning towards that. We have certain plans, you know. Will we reopen on the dates that the HSE are recommending? We've yet to decide that. As a business, we'll open when we feel we're ready to reopen. I suppose we've looked at I've kind of been working on a kind of a 25-point plan for our business, which is, I suppose, at the core and first priority of it is you know, employee welfare and their health and safety, and then obviously our customers' health and safety. So we're working on a number of measures to make sure that we can socially distance properly. We can ensure the welfare of anyone that comes into our building, whether it be an employee or a customer. And there are huge challenges in that. We are lucky in that we have outdoor space and we have a lot of indoor space. We are looking at, you know, zoning those areas, specifically around over 70s families, giving people areas with which they can feel comfortable in and build up a trust. But I'm aware that that's not the case for everyone in our industry. And, you know, I think for us, it's no good that we can do that. Everyone has to be able to get through this. The Kinsale product is a blend of some brilliant businesses, and it's important that we all can manage that. So for me, I think the social distancing thing is going to be an absolutely humongous challenge for our industry to be able to do that, you know.
Yeah, and I've seen, like, recently, just there even on Twitter this morning, people in your sector, specifically cafes and stuff, saying, I just can't physically reopen with 50% capacity. I can't make it work. Yeah,
and you can see that, I suppose, the lifeblood of our industry revolves around those unique businesses that smaller, more intimate. Or I suppose their business model is based around, you know, cozy, intimate settings, personal, you know, owner-run, owner-managed, using local suppliers and local produce. And I mean, that's what our industry is built on. It's what I believe is our unique selling point as a country, and in particular Kinsale has built its reputation on that over the years. You know, without that being commercially viable, there's going to be huge challenges for us. So I do believe the government has to look really, really closely at that particular sector and protect it. And I mean, if they don't do that now, the fallout from that in 12 to 24 months time will be far more catastrophic than we could ever imagine. So I think they have to maintain those businesses now, give them every support, you know, under the sun, you know, put the same level of investment and energy that they've put to date into making sure that the lifeblood of our industry is protected and that they will come back. You know, the one thing I keep saying is, coming into this, we had as an industry, we had a really, really good product. We had it was really well invested in. We have brilliant initiatives like Wild Atlantic Way, but the industry was in a really, really good place, you know, probably the best it's ever been. That, you know, hasn't changed. Those businesses, those people are still there. We just need to navigate them into a safe zone, which will come. It may be 12, maybe 24 months, but whatever it takes right now to do that, I believe needs to be done.
And it's interesting there what you're saying, because whoever can, like yourself, because you've got decent outdoor space, they can do the 2 meters, but it's not sustainable long term. Something will have to shift, and the supports are needed going for the 12-month, 18 months, so that those boutique and more bespoke businesses, that is, like you described, the lifeline of Kinsale and what we offer, are around in 12 months' time or in 18 months' time. Tell me a bit about the supports you just mentioned there, because that's interesting to people, like Fáilte Ireland, the Hoteliers Federation, the government. Like, what's been coming down the pipeline to you?
I suppose initially, and rightly so, the initial protection was around the employee and the COVID-19 payments. So they did react very quickly, to be fair, and those schemes have been successful in my view, you know, maintaining that COVID-19 payment and then doing the 70% for keeping employees on, I think was a good move. We maintained 11 of our team, which has been really important towards our rebuilding plans and our reopening plans. Yeah. So we wouldn't have been able to do that without that support. So to take a kind of a two-tier approach of supporting people that they can, you know, survive and pay their bills day to day, but also that businesses can actually keep a certain amount of their wheels turning towards a reopening without a complete shutdown. So I believe that was a good move. But I think now Fáilte Ireland, to be fair, have been brilliant. We're very lucky to have a very good organisation in Fáilte Ireland. One of the first phone calls I got in shutdown week was from Fáilte Ireland to say, we're now going into support mode. What can we do for you? They have set up this COVID-19 support hub, and they've been there. They've been obviously working in the background. I've got a huge amount of data in the last week of various consumer sentiment surveys and work that has been done on what the landscape is going to look like when we reopen. I suppose, like everything else, they were waiting for the government to, you know, obviously prioritise health, but move into what supports are going to be coming for our industry. And I think the ones that came on Saturday are helpful. They're a start, but I don't think there's going to be fine tuning. To be fair to the government, they don't have a crystal ball on this. You know, that's step one, I think, on a path that will have to be a little bit more fine tuned and a more heavier supports aimed more towards the business that we spoke about earlier on. Yeah. Actually, just one point on that is, one thing we have proposed, and you know, okay, it's more of a European model, but Cork City have proposed it as well, is the whole idea of using outdoor space outside premises, and we have proposed that to the Cork County Council, and the initial reaction to it has been quite positive. So that great. You know, potentially businesses could capture that area, parking spaces that are outside their front door. In the summer, obviously that's not a winter thing, provided we have a little bit of fine weather, could help make up for that little bit of lost food and beverage and tables and chairs inside. So there's initiatives like that might work. Mightn't work for everyone though, unfortunately. Okay.
Because the whole point will be to try and claw back whatever income you can make the tail end of the 2020 season, right? Because we would have run, Kinsale Sevens would have been on this weekend.
Yeah, for example. We would just be finished Kinsale Sevens, which is the biggest. I suppose it's not for everyone, but the economic impact of that for the weekend is huge, and the fallout from that it really sets Kinsale up for the summer with an injection of millions that come into the town over that was a couple of days, and that spreads out over the weeks after it around across a number of different businesses. So losing something like that is a huge blow to the town. But look, that's all just part of this. There's a number of brilliant festivals and a number of different events that we've lost along the way, and that's what Kinsale is built on. It's built on, you know, great festivals targeting different demographics. That will all come back in time. You know, that's down the line for us right now. I think it's a case of you know, focusing on getting businesses operating day to day, getting the supports that they need to open their doors, and that in 6 to 12 months' time that we don't have a commercial fallout with mass scale unemployment where businesses can't sustain the level that they open with now.
Yeah, and then just on that note, when I'm thinking about it, like, so Kinsale as a town attracts many different kinds of tourists. So the reality for you now in the hotel and in the restaurant and in the pub, and for all your colleagues in the town, is that foreign travellers, you know, will not be able to come to Kinsale probably this summer. So you're going to be targeting the Irish staycation traveller. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, that's very accurate. The latest reports that have come out have said that it'll be at least 6 months before anyone will consider international travel, and I believe that's even optimistic, to be honest with you. I think we're looking at 12 months. So what we've kind of internally for us within our businesses, we've looked at what our target market is going to do post COVID. You know, what will they do? What will their trends be? We've looked at some of the research.
Where are you getting that data from? I'm curious to know. Like, have you got reliable data?
Yeah, we have actually. We're working on, which I'll get onto in a minute, the Kinsale Comeback campaign. We've got a lot of data from Fall to Ireland, Tourism Ireland, and also from the World Travel Organization as well. There's a lot of really, really good stuff coming out. But look, you know, there's no recipe book or formula for this. So a lot of it is just what consumer sentiment is, and what they're projecting until we open our doors, until we test the market. We're not going to know exactly what it's going to look like, but there is some very, very good information coming through. So, you know, it's the way it's broken down initially it'll be that market that want to escape their 2 to 5k radius while they build up a trust in travel. So I think the key word that's coming through in all these documents is that it's all going to be about trust. It's going to be about, you know, people's health and well-being, and how is that going to be protected when they travel again. So the initial will be that day trip possibly to Kinsale from Cork, you know, the person that has been missing coming down for their walk and exploring the outdoors and grabbing a coffee or maybe going for a bite to eat after. That initial market will dip its toe in the water. They're saying the second market will be the lost occasions, the need to reconnect with family, friends, loved ones. That will be a huge market. Absolutely. And that's a kind of a day trip type market again, but that will get I suppose the lifeblood of the town going. It'll impact on retail. It'll impact on food and beverage. And I suppose the next step on from that, as trust builds, will be that staycation overnight, one or two night market. And that's where we're trying to reposition ourselves, both internally. We've looked at our product, looked at how we can readjust to suit those markets as we go through a kind of a phased reopening. And secondly, then as a town, we've been working on the Kinsale Comeback campaign, which it's a fairly ambitious plan and a document that's just been finalised, basically around a phased marketing plan for the town to attract those markets when it is right and safe to do so. So it's a fairly exciting document. There's some great work gone into it. A lot of people have put a lot of effort into it. So we're finalising that. We're hoping to issue that out this week, which will give people something to believe in, and something, you know, that we have a plan, that we have a concrete plan based on the information and the best research that's available to us. But I would always caveat that by saying this is a moving target, and, you know, we will have to be very quick to react to moves in the market, or whether it's quicking up and pace the recovery, or whether it's slowing down. So they're all things that we have to consider, but we need a base plan, and I do believe we have a really good one now.
And who has fed into the Kinsale Comeback plan? Who's been giving opinions and ideas into it?
So at the moment, I've been kind of circulating it around a number of different business, from retail to hospitality to people who are actually not in business in the town at all. I've just got some independent opinions from people who are in the industry. I've one expert who I would rely on a lot, whose opinion I've relied on over the years, who I've run these things by, and we've just got varying opinions. We're still getting, even as of this morning, we've got some feedback on, you know, certain things may work, certain things may be a bit aspirational. So, but the whole idea is to get us all now thinking in the same direction, that we have something that we can work towards, a base document. And most importantly, we have a very, very aggressive target to fundraise for this. And we've been holding on that purposely. Again, I spoke about Fall to Ireland in the week of the shutdown. The day before Paddy's Day, the first person I contacted about a comeback plan was Fall to Ireland. And we said, look, we're going to need your support coming out of this. And in fairness, Marie rang me back and said, look, our heads aren't in that space just yet, but, you know, keep working on the plan, and when you're ready to do so. So we believe the time is now is the right time to do it. We don't want to compete with some of the brilliant work that's being done in town at the moment, and the fundraising around things like the volunteer group, the brilliant work that's going on out at the school, with the face masks. So there's a lot of, I suppose, more current causes right now that we believe need to be prioritised, which is the welfare of our community. But in the background, we're working on when it is right to do so, that we will be ready with a plan, well funded, with our stakeholders, with all the business people buying into it, as well as our local community, because it's not about businesses getting back up and running. And that's what this document is about. So I suppose this week will be the first week that we will actually publicly issue it out to members and to various stakeholders.
Yeah, it's great. It's really exciting, and it's really proactive. We try and ask our clients who we chat to give us 3 hints or tips that are personal to them and specific to their own experience in all of this. And have you any words of wisdom?
I'm not sure they're words of wisdom, but I suppose we have a number of things we're working on as a team that I suppose that's personal to us. And I'm not one for giving people advice. I've made our own mistakes and learned from over the years. So this is, I suppose, every business is navigating their own path through this. But for us, I suppose the key 3 things would be, firstly, as a business, we're preparing, I suppose, mentally, physically, having the business in a really good space when we open. I suppose our kind of modus operandi since we closed has been feng shui and focus kind of ethos of, making sure that when we reopen, that we're in the best possible shape and that the business is ready for it. So that's the key thing, I suppose, personally for me with that as well. I believe that, I'm facing and the business is facing probably the biggest challenge that I've ever had in my career. So getting mentally and physically ready for that, the next 7 weeks is key. We're going to have to be, very agile, very ready for a very changed landscape that will continue to change for the foreseeable future. The second thing I would say, and it's something that goes without saying in Kinsale, is collaboration is probably more important than ever. Collaboration is king for Kinsale since the 70s. I think now more than ever we need to harness that collaboration, get us all back up and running, in whatever form we can, and support each other. I mean, I suppose I'm in constant communication with people in the industry literally every day, and learn something new every day from them. We're learning, and not only that, spreading our wings beyond Kinsale. We're talking to Westport a lot. We're now talking to Cork City a lot. So everyone's experiencing different issues and different challenges. And I think that level of communication and collaboration coming out of this, the last recession, when that happened, we all were pretty isolated. We took a little bit more of an insular approach, I believe, as a country coming out of it, because we all at different times were struggling at different levels. So I think coming out of this, we'd be all coming out of it together. And I think, that whole level of collaboration that Kinsale is known for, and that actually other towns have come and studied and looked at over the years, is actually going to be one of our key assets coming out of this. And
also, just on that note, it's an interesting, from our perspective, from a sustainability perspective, we're specializing in resilience planning, and you can't resilience plan unless you're connected into people. You can't resilience plan alone. Your networks must be established.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, if you look at the examples in Kinsale, look at the Good Food Circle set up in 1976, look at the Chamber of Tourism set up in the 1970s. It's no surprise Kinsale has been hugely successful over the years because of that level of cooperation and those networks. I mean, I've probably leaned on those networks more than I ever have since this, even from a reassurance point of view, just sometimes, some days you're kind of questioning, okay, how is this all going to play out? And then you'll get some bit of inspiration from somewhere. And
it's important to sanity check your ideas as well off your network.
Absolutely, completely. I have to do that a lot in my business because a lot of the time they kind of look at me stupid when I'm coming up with certain things. But sanity checking is something I've learned to do a lot of. Yes, no, absolutely. I think that is absolutely key. And I suppose the last point of the 3 points that you asked me about were, I suppose, is a kind of a belief in the product and a belief in what we can do. I think that we haven't. This has come about because of things beyond all our control. So I believe that, we Kinsale, when I say we were, as I said earlier, we were in a really good place coming into this. Kinsale was firing on all cylinders. We won Enterprise Towns the last 2 years that had won Foodie Towns. The community that this has shown in really, really tough circumstances with the volunteer group and the work that's been done has been unbelievable. It's just shown what a great town and community and a business community that we have. So for us coming out of it, I think it's easy to kind of put the head down and see the negatives and what we're facing. But I honestly believe that if we can believe in the product that we have, it's heavily invested in by the likes of Fáilt Ireland. There's a huge belief in a town like Kinsale and Wild Atlantic Way that I think we'll come back quicker than that's being anticipated. I think that you know, we need to see around corners a little bit. We need to jump over a couple of walls on the way. But I do believe we will come back, and we'll come back quickly.
Yeah, it's really interesting what you're saying, because we talk a lot about building back better. So you've got this confidence in the product that you now have, which sounds different to what you might have experienced, say, coming out of the 2008 recession, right? So you're in a better place.
Mm-hmm.
Is that fair to say? But
Absolutely.
there's
I think
always,
absolutely.
yeah, and there's always room for improvement. So when we build back better and we have these connections with this network of people that are heavily invested and authentically invested in the town, the sectors that you are in should thrive. If the supports are given, a lot of it hinges on supports. You need the government supports, and you need the Fáilte Ireland supports.
Yeah, no, like, I'm under no illusion that, you know, this is going to be a tough 12 months ahead. But you know, as I keep saying, this is where governments need to stand up, support the lifeblood of our economy. You know, the key employment is tourism. It's the vital cog in the recovery of what happens next. So I think that keep us all operating, keep the businesses trucking over, and let the recovery happen. You know, the Kinsale Comeback Campaign will be one part of that recovery. It will help us in a phased manner along that. Each business will go through, each of our own businesses will go through their own challenges along the way that we'll have to overcome, and we'll have to reassess. But I do believe that it's all about now, it's all about support, and it's all about the government saying, okay, we need these businesses here in 12 months time, or else actually we'll have an even bigger problem. So yeah, I think that that's just from talking to other people in the business, that's, you know, at least now we have some certainty. I know it's either positive or negative certainty sometimes, but 2 weeks ago we didn't have certainty. You know, there was talks of bars next year.
Yeah.
Oh,
And actually people, we spoke about this earlier, like 2 weeks ago, people definitely felt completely at sea and really despondent. There was a nervousness and a fragility to people, and it seems to have changed even now. And just what you're saying there is interesting, because the reality is there will be more shocks further down the road. In 18 months' time, Kinsale is prone to flooding. God knows what other virus might hit. The better prepared you are, preparedness is key. So a Kinsale comeback plan that builds on really well established, clever thinking from the entire town can only but serve the town well in 12 months' time, in 18 months' time. Yeah.
And I suppose, as I say, you know, it's all about reacting to what's happening now. I mean, excuse me, what's happened in the last 2 or 3 months in Kinsale has been just incredible. You know, it hasn't been a time for thinking about reopening our business. It's been a time about supporting community and looking after those more vulnerable. And to see what's happened in Kinsale during that time, I think holds well for what will happen next, because there's a community spirit and an activity there that has been mind-blowing, to be honest with you, and how businesses have been selfless, opening their doors and cooking for vulnerable and elderly. I think we just need to, I suppose, obviously prioritise that now, but then when the time is right, harness that energy and that community spirit back into supporting local, supporting businesses that are trying to get back on their feet, you know, putting local first all the time. And I think that will happen. I think one thing that will come out of this is an appreciation for the businesses that are here locally, their uniqueness. If they were gone and people there at the moment are closed, I think people will embrace them a little bit more and realize what we have on our doorstep and the need to protect it. So a lot of it is going to be community driven, about us supporting each other and supporting the businesses that are trying to get back through a really, really tough challenge that we have ahead of us. And then at a bigger level, then it's obviously about the supports that we get to make us, I suppose, while we're not viable for the foreseeable future, to fill that gap until the industry is back and viable again and providing employment and firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, it's really great, Ciaran. It sounds like a plan. Everyone needs a plan.
Need a plan. Just need to stick to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing your insights. It was really, really powerful and great to hear the optimism and the positivity. And we've seen a lot of comments coming up through there saying thanks for the positivity that you've shown. We really appreciate it. And good luck.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Yeah, great. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.